We have the kindly Senator John Husted from the great state of Ohio, who at late notice is helping us out. And Senator Husted, I am most grateful for you to help us out on short notice. I want to thank you for it. Let's talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill, if you don't mind. I know you're not on finance, but I know you know a lot about the subject. We talked earlier in the show, I did a riff about, it's a little chart. I'm not sure you can see the chart. But my point is the Congressional Budget Office is wrong, and no matter how you slice the pie, there's going to be significant deficit reduction. And of course, part of that is the movement from welfare to workfare on Medicaid. But I'm just saying, sir, and I'll get your take on this, the current policy estimate of the cost of the tax cut, Mr. Trump's original 2017 tax cut, I'm putting that as zero. In fact, the CBO underestimated it by $2.3 trillion during the first 7 years, okay? So I'm taking that whole, CBO says it's going to cost almost $4 trillion for the tax cut. I'm saying no, it won't. It actually made money, a lot of money, but I'm taking that out. And then I'm putting in a better growth rate, what Senator Thune has been calling the growth dividend. I'm putting in 3%. Which gives you $4 trillion in additional revenues for deficit reduction. If you want to put in 2.7 or 2.6%, you'll still be better than the CBO's 1.8%, but you won't get quite as many revenues. Even the CBO acknowledges 1.7 trillion in mandatory savings from workfare, as I said, in Medicaid and SNAP and TAMP and so forth. And then, lo and behold, the CBO is now understanding that the tariffs, just the baseline, 10% baseline tariff, is producing pretty good revenues, and they're saying almost $3 trillion over the next 10 years. They won't count it, as you probably know, for the scoring of the bill, but it's there. It will cut the budget deficit. So my numbers come out to be about over $8 trillion in deficit reduction, not the 3 or 4 trillion CBO is saying in deficit increases. You can modify that to your heart's content. But my point is, this bill, you know, Biden left the Republicans with a $21 trillion combined deficit for the next 10 years. At least they can slice it down by 6, 7, 8 trillion. So what do you say, Senator Husted? What's your thinking on this?
Well, I think we should hire you to run the CBO.
No, thank you, sir. I got it.
So, look, you're right about this. It's a pro-growth policy.
Yeah.
The failure to remember why we have to do this, because the failure to do it is a over $4 trillion tax increase on small businesses, on corporations, but also working families. If you're a family of 4 making $80,000 a year, it's a $1,700 tax increase on you. And so what they don't fully appreciate at the CBO is that if we don't do this, you're going to see a recession in America, which is going to affect the deficit and debt even more. And so we have to get this done so that we can solidify those pro-growth policies, get more people to invest. I tell you what, I've been visited here at the Capitol by so many small business owners who are saying, please, please get this done. It's important to us. We'll get it done, and we'll deliver growth that will help reduce the deficit. And by the way, I don't mind having a little pressure put on us to reduce spending. We should do it as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. What's the gossip in the cloakroom right now? I know there are some people who have loudly said they're voting against. By the way, I had Rand Paul on last night. He's a personal friend of mine, known him for years, have nothing but admiration for him. And I know he's leaning towards it. I know he doesn't like the debt ceiling stuff, but on the other stuff, he's leaning toward it. In fact, he said he liked my, quote, fancy numbers. I'm just going to say, when push comes to shove, this thing will pass, won't it? It will pass.
Yeah, it's going to pass. It has to pass because we have so much at stake. This is our opportunity to show the American people that when they elected us, when they elected the president to get an America First policy done that looks out for growing the economy and working families, that's what this does. So we need to get the bill passed, and we'll ultimately achieve that goal.
Senator Husted, on another subject, trade policy, are you in favor of Mr. Trump's reciprocity plan And what do you think about Nippon Steel coming in to help U.S. Steel and the 50% tariff on steel and aluminum? How's that impact Ohio, sir?
Look, you hear a lot from people about the tariff issues. They want to get them resolved as soon as possible. Certainty is good for everyone. You hear a lot about that, but everybody recognizes the goal that the president's trying to achieve, that China's been cheating. They've been stealing our intellectual property. They have been, frankly, cheating the whole world with their trade policies. And we also need to remove the non-tariff barriers that a lot of European countries have on us. The people of Ohio get that. They want to get it done, but they would like us to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, I reckon so. Although some steel interests up in, I mean, Ohio is still a steel-producing state. So they might be getting, you know, I think Mr. Trump's giving them a short-term boost. May not be forever, but I think that's what he is. Let me go to another subject, foreign policy. I know you've been talking about the secondary sanctions on Russia. Mr. Trump had a phone call with Putin, but it didn't seem to resolve anything. I happen to support secondary sanctions. China's been financing Russia by buying their oil now for the last 3 years. It's a terrible thing. By the way, same for Iran. And some senators are telling me it's too soon for those sanctions. What's your take in the last minute, sir?
Yeah, I'm a co-sponsor of that legislation. Putin has shown no interest in peace. We need to put pressure on him. The secondary sanctions will do that to India, to China, but also to the European nations that have been financing both sides of the war. It's time to up the pressure. Putin needs to be pushed if we ever expect him to seek peace.
You know, it's interesting, oil prices, gasoline prices. Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, Trump had a fabulous, successful visit in the Middle East, I think you would agree. The Saudis they're kind of turning those oil spigots up a little bit, you know. The oil market's now in the low 60s. I know some CEOs that think it's headed for the 50s. Gasoline prices may be coming down, Senator Husted.
Yeah, it seems like that's the case.
All right.
Yeah, it definitely does. We're going to see oil prices come down, inflation's coming down. These things are good for the economy.
You bet. You're a great sport. Thank you again for helping us out, Senator John Husted from the great state of Ohio. We appreciate it, sir.